Good morning, Monday morning here at the desk. And before I start this, I want to give you a language concept warning. Today's Monday morning, as I usually do, we go through the local press and have a bit of a look and see what actually happened. And by the way, this is one of my other passions is sport. And as going through the press there, we see that the Wallabies got whacked. 7 reports of the Wallabies getting whacked through the media today. And that's fine. We probably one of the international sports that we have to tolerate here in Australia for these people that are watching it from outside is that we have probably two lots of codes here in Australia. We have the international codes, rugby union and football. And I'm going to talk about football later in its true context. And we have the Australian FL, the AFL, which is Australian rules, and we have the infamous Rugby League. Now, the last two seem to have a bit of a problem identifying themselves, and the media as well, to be quite honest, because they continually call themselves football. Now, I'm not really sure of the IQ of the writers of these columns are, and particularly in today's paper as well. They have a hell of a hard time identifying football between those other two codes. Now, rugby union is always union, full stop. So it's the issue I have is with football being called football in Australia, and those other two codes that struggled and actually parasite off the real game of football, which is the world game. They use that as a way to try and express their game, because they don't have the pride in their own game of rugby league or their own game of Australian rules to actually call it that, and the media don't call it that either, which probably upsets a place like in Australia, where we are a multicultural organisation, and we encourage multiculturalism, and we also call things by their right names. Again, that seems to be the culture of Australia. Well, it's a boys' club. Of course, the media in Australia is a boys' club. There is no doubt about that at all. And the other international codes always have to do their own work, and they struggle to get any sort of decent media coverage, unless, of course, they have something to like to, if they want to attack Sam Kerr or someone like that. Well, that's big news for the little boys with their little typewriters, and away they go, and they'll have a go at Sam or anything like that. Anything to do with football at all, they'll find. But they always seem to bypass the little influences that we see every day in media that if happens in football, like domestic violence, like drug taking, like racism, like thuggery after the games, violence on the streets, players getting suspended for off-field issues. Gets a little bit of publicity in there, but no one follows it up. But if you get someone like a footballer or a rugby union player doing it, my God, this right across the media every time. And you wonder why, because the answer is quite simple if you really think about it. The AFL and the NRL are owned by the Murdoch Press. Simply as that. They have sold their soul to the Murdoch Press. So every time, if there is a misdemeanor or anything, it is covered up. But well behold, if the other two codes infringe. And this is where it really gets to me. It really does. And, and it's about time someone started calling the bloody thing out as it is, and calling it out. Now, to be quite honest, and we've got to try and keep things in perspective here, I enjoy talking about my game, and I don't compare it. And I try not to compare the two codes. We're all entitled to follow the codes that we love and belong to in many cases. And I'm the same. But when you start drawing comparisons and when you start putting biases in between those things, those lines start getting drawn, and people do get passionate about it. Okay? Now, as I said, I'm a avid football fan, and I love the rugby union as well, the international games. The other two codes don't have international games. They actually live in their own little tiny fart bubbles up and down the eastern Trouble of Australia. And I tell you what, those fart bubbles are getting very smelly. So that's about probably my bitch about for that. It's not a bitch. It's what I'm calling fact. All right, and I'll stand by what I'm saying here. It's about time our media decided to call things who they are, and I'm proud to say I follow football, but football is not Aussie rules. Football is not rugby league. Football, be proud of your game, be proud of your code, call it what it is, but don't try and parasite off the world game and the other games that do play international sport. On that note, I'm not sorry. I'm pleased to be able to put my point of view across to you. Like it or leave it, that's me. See ya.